Good morning, it's Candice and Alli from O'Neill's On the Run, Life in a Bus. It is at Season 3, Episode 8, and we are talking all things distance education while we have Alli with us at the moment, and she's sitting her HSC trials.
Yep.
Big, bit of a stress, I guess, but So, for those who don't know, Alli was in traditional Christian school until year 10.
Yep.
At the end of year 10, we started, about term 3, year 10, we started looking at moving her to distance education. And we had a lot of recommendations, and Camden Haven was the school that came to most highly recommended for our situation. And the process, especially at Alli's age group, much easier for primary school kids, but at Alli's age group is quite hard to sort of get the ball rolling. There's a lot of criteria you have to meet.
And it's recommended that you start, preferably you start 12 months before, but 6 months is generally the time that it takes for you to complete all the paperwork because it's massive.
It's pretty intensive. Homeschooling is different to distance ed. So Alli is still a school with New South Wales education. She's still a student. She's still getting an ATAR.
Yep, I'm still NESA registered and everything, so...
Yeah, so it's quite a process, especially at her age, to get it rolled over. So if you are looking at doing this with high school age students, you do need to sort of get the ball rolling pretty quick. But Camden Haven were really good at helping us through the process. They're really sort of back and forth with the paperwork and the requirements a lot, which was very helpful. They do have a huge range of subjects.
Yeah, I think they do nearly every single subject that the New South Wales NESA course offers, so there's a lot there.
So she actually has a broader range of subjects than she would have in her traditional school if she'd have stayed on at the school in Tamworth she was in.
Yeah.
So run us through your subjects. Al, what are we studying?
So we're currently studying society and culture, ancient history, food technology, business studies, and advanced English, and I was doing economics, but I dropped it in year 12.
Yeah, so she had the option, because she took 6 subjects in year 11, she had the option to drop a subject for year 12 just to lighten her workload.
Yeah.
And she chose to drop economics. I think she should drop food tech.
I think I should have dropped ancient history. Economics, I probably would have been maybe like high up in economics, hopefully.
Yeah, at the time she really wouldn't listen to parental suggestions, but now looking back, economics was a real strong point, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah. I think I had a booklet about that thick. Well,
people on the podcast can't see how that thick is.
Probably like an inch, 2 inches thick to do every week, so it was a lot.
It was a lot of content, and it was a very involved course, but long term I think that would have been the better course to keep and maybe drop at a food tech, which is kind of hard to do on the road.
Yeah,
because we don't
especially when someone broke the oven somehow.
Well, you've got something jammed in it, but it's fixed now. But when you don't have a full kitchen, like a microwave and bench space and graters and sifters and scales.
And when we were out west and I was trying to do my food tech assessment, we didn't have any of the ingredients really there, so I had to improvise, which was... Yeah,
so Alli had to make a preserve, or that was like a jam or preserve. Yeah.
So the recommended was berry jam, but we couldn't get any berries.
We were out between Cunnamulla and Charleville, and there was like a couple of punnets of strawberries in the supermarket that were like $10.50 a punnet, and so it's really hard to manage food tech on the road.
Yeah.
And that's why I suggested dropping food tech. But Alli does love food tech.
Yeah.
And she does quite well at food tech, but it's also the one that's out of line with her goals.
Yeah. Ancient history is also the one that's a bit out of line with my goals. I honestly think I should have probably taken modern history if I'm going into politics. I feel like that would have been a lot better. But also I just done my HSC trial for ancient history, and there was a lot of content there and a lot of stuff I didn't remember, so...
I'm sure you'll be fine. We'll get the results for that. I'm sure you worried over nothing. So, the enrolment process for distance ed, you have to tick some boxes. So you can have travel for itinerant work. up to 12 months only. Now, this was a point that was probably not hashed out enough with me because
so we originally applied for the full-time travelers, which we had to change because mum and dad were working like 6-week periods as caravan park relief management as needed. So when we had to go into year 12, we had to change it, but there's only very small numbers. So international travel you can do,
mental health or health related.
Displacement crisis you can also do, and then itinerant workers and full-time travelers
and elite sports or elite sports and performing arts. Is so it and remote, of course. I think if you're more than 45 kilometers from the nearest public high school or something like that as well, you can get. But it's a very tight box to get into. And
I know with the elite performance, because I was talking to one of the girls who does DE with the trials who turned up to the actual school, that you have to, there's actually a benchmark for a certain amount of wins and times that you have to do for your sport. So there's actually, you need to be on a state or a national level, like it's very high up.
Yeah, you can't just say my kid's good at football, they're not going to school. There's a bit more to it than that. So once you get through all the enrollment process, then going forward, schooling, well, I found it pretty easy as a parent because I have a motivated student. There's been times when you need to kick her in the butt a little. But it would be difficult, I think, with a non-scholar type student.
It works because I know what I want to study, and on the days I want to do it, and I quite enjoy learning and I'm quite motivated to do it. But I think, not to rip on a lot of people my age, but a lot of teenagers in traditional school aren't so motivated. They're just trying to get through year 12. So I feel like it wouldn't work for a lot of people.
Yeah, if you've got the high school student that's at school to meet up with his friends and organise parties for the weekend, distance education is probably going to be a struggle. You've got to have a student who has goals, knows what they need to achieve their future goals, and is capable of sticking to those hard times. Like the boundaries and guidelines and the schedules they set themselves or you set for them, they've got to be capable of sticking to those things. Which could be, I could see it being a problem with some kids. I don't have that problem, thankfully. The biggest problem we've had was getting Alli's extension for second year travel, even though our situation hadn't changed. Apparently having a successful business as an itinerant worker is not enough.
So we were told year 11, if I did well on my subjects, no NESA warnings, as it was kind of like a probation period, no NESA warnings in the first 6 months. I'd be all good, and then it was just sort of a probation. I did well enough, it'd roll over. So I did really well in the first 12 months. And then we got to
October. You turned 3, probably into term 3.
And we started to adjust to itinerant worker.
So we sort of got well, hey, Alli's 12 months is nearly up. Where's she going to school for year 12? Kind of discussion. And we went, we're going to keep doing distance ed. And they're like, no, you're not. And it all got a bit hard. The people at Camden were very, very good. It was just the actual New South Wales Education Board.
I'm pretty sure they hung up on you 3 times. You just called back and they just put the phone straight down.
The lady wouldn't take my calls in the end. And I had to actually pull the I would like to speak to your manager card. And I said, we live in a motorhome. We can't stay anywhere longer than 6 weeks because that's a caravanning park rule. We move all over the country for our work. If Alli did go back to a conventional school, if we could find a house in the housing shortage and we could pull up stumps for 12 months, there's not a single school in Australia that offers her 5 to 6 subjects that she's currently studying. So then she would not have enough points to get her ATAR to go to university.
And to do that, I would have also had to do DE. So I would have had to go on to get it.
School.
I would have had to go on to, there's one school in Muswellbrook who do all of the specialist subjects. I would have had to go into that school in Muswellbrook, and then I had to do DE for
ancient history.
Yeah.
Anyway, so It was just crazy. But once we got to sort of the supervisory level of the distance education board, it was no problem. Oh, yeah, here you go, done, tick. You tick
Yeah.
the boxes. But I just got someone who was a little bit difficult, I felt.
Yeah.
And the school was writing recommendations saying Alli was a great student and they would love to have her on board. And I'm saying physically we can't make year 12 work without.
Yeah. And I was already one term into my year 12 course, so there was no real possibility of me really changing
And
courses.
the teachers, different schools teach the same curriculum but in a different order, and it was just going to be chaos to put her back into traditional school. And the first lady that I got, she just couldn't see it. She just wanted to no traditional school. That was it. That was shut book. She wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't respond to my emails. And then when I went above her, it all happened very quickly, but it was quite stressful for a bit.
Yeah. We were looking at schools. I know you were looking at boarding school, which would have not really worked with finances and stuff, but like there was a lot of, it would have been, I would have had to apply for, more DE permits for single subject courses or even gone to university for single subject courses. So it was a lot. And
it was hectic.
It was definitely misleading because we were told you do well in the first 12 months, it just rolls over.
Well, there'll be paperwork, but it's doable,
and most of the paperwork was told that the school would do it anyway. You just really had to sign off on it and make sure that your circumstances hadn't changed. Just sort of how you do with tax, like everything's there.
Yeah.
You just tick and say, oh, yeah, and then you pay whatever's there.
Situation hasn't changed. Results are good. Everything's done on time. Tick, tick, tick. All the
and
check
then
boxes.
Pay for the subjects.
Pay for them. Now, I think it cost me about $360 a year for Alli's school, so it's not huge.
And that just covers all of the textbooks and all of the source materials
and
the
postage and stuff like that. So Alli was, like I said, in a Christian-based high school before that, so she was like $7,500 a year. So the 360 is definitely not an issue for us.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
and no, $300 uniforms. So that's all nice. So studying and how it's different from normal.
Yeah,
talk us through.
So I was doing six subjects in about 10 hours a week in year 11, which I know seems a bit ridiculous. But I just had 1 or 2 modules a week. You do the reading and then you do the questionnaire. So that was, for some subjects, it was only about an hour. So food tech, if I wasn't cooking, is about an hour for that whole subject a week. So it was really easy and I could do it at certain times. So I generally don't start working until 10 o'clock. And I've been starting to make breakfast and I might go for a little walk and just get myself all set up for that. And I also generally work late at night. So I do a big morning break.
Have an afternoon off.
Yeah. Because I just sort of fall flat at around 3 o'clock every day. It's just straight down. And then I work from about 6.
After dinner. Like we have dinner and then Alli gets back into
working. About 6 to 8 every night. So it's a nice good split.
So how the schooling actually works, Alli has her subject teachers. They call her at specified times each week.
Yeah.
So Alli scheduled most of her calls for Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah. And generally we just go over the modules and we talk about assessment tasks and where we're keeping up. And with English, I've been studying poems at the moment, so we just read the poems together. And so it's very much like in a traditional classroom, you'd have the source material up on the board and you can just read it. And some of the subjects have group lessons. So English, we have a group lesson once a week that you can just jump into.
So it's like Zoom. Like it's like Zoom. You pretty much Zoom into your classroom for your group lessons. But what we've found is different is because Alli's getting that call, she's getting that one-on-one intense time.
Yeah.
Instead of one teacher to 25 or 30, it's one-on-one for an hour or so.
Yeah.
So it's so much more effective. And personalised.
Yeah.
And it's not Alli's problems just being missed in the back of the corner or, or the teacher trying to discipline all the rowdiness happening.
Yeah.
It's just one-on-one. So it's so much more effective study.
Yeah.
Than the group situation. And the teacher's on Alli's level. It's not the teacher trying to teach to 30 kids at 30 different levels. It's very tailored and personalised. which I think is so much more effective for learning.
Yeah.
And then this year, being year 12, there's been a bit more.
Yeah. So I think I've probably only gone up 5 subjects, 15 hours a week, which is very reasonable because it's normally like 40 hours a week plus study. So
yeah, and a lot of it's been your major works for your year 12 assessment.
Yeah, so I do my personal interest project for society and culture, which is my major work. We do a research topic. I did mine on the sexualization of the damsel in distress. So
that was a lot. The
Yeah.
sexualization of the damsel in distress
and the impacts on historical and modern societies.
Yeah. So throughout history.
Yeah.
It's been a big deal. It's been a big process. But that's like her major assessment piece for year 12. So it's like a thesis pretty much.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a lift in time this year.
Yeah.
And results, well, she's sitting in HSC trials as we record this, so we'll know results going forward.
Yeah.
But generally, I'd say Alli's overall results are improved.
Yeah.
From face-to-face traditional schooling.
I was face-to-face traditional schooling. I was always an A and a B student, but now it's pretty consistently up.
Yeah, it's more A than B, sort of. Like it's pushing up to the top end of her class and things mostly. You know, she's getting fairly good results.
Yeah.
Which is good because she has big plans going forward.
Yep. Well, the ATAR I need isn't that big, but I want to study preferably going to University of Canberra. I want to study a double degree of business and politics and international relations, preferably international business or PR or marketing. And I'd love to be a foreign diplomat. I think that's my idealistic path would be I'm a foreign diplomat for a couple of years. And then I go into being a mayor. Maybe Australia's youngest mayor. That would be great.
I think that's Adam Marshall, who used to play cricket with that.
Yeah, so I'm probably not gonna
Crunchy,
that.
She's coming for you. She's coming for your record, Crunchy.
And then probably and then maybe into the federal. I'd like that. Or if I do university, I'm also considering doing an international law degree masters and going into the international court. So that's something I really want to do.
Yeah, so she's sort of not really pinned down an exact path yet, because for about 4 or 5 years, the army has been it.
The army, there's been 3 careers my whole life: being a chef, owning my own business of some degree, and going into the army.
And she went through army recruitment earlier this year, and she could have got put on a hold, which means she has to take a gap year, essentially.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to take a gap year. So it looks like the army's missing out.
Yeah.
And we're going for a more traditional way to get our uni degree.
Yeah. I'm also considering, so there's lots of different scholarships and options. So there's big mining corporations that will pay for the degrees that I want. So I can do international relations and politics and business, majoring in international business. I just have to work for 6 years afterwards and I'll become what's called a foreign governmental liaison. So I just work between the government and different.
Pretty much liaising between big corp or big business, like mining and things like that, and government.
Yeah. And the other one is the Australian Signals.
Mental blank?
Yep. So it's the Australian Signals. I forget what the technical term is for it. But I just go to that. I do my degrees and then I'll come out and be an intelligence analysis, which is practically what I wanted to do in the army. And that's like $100,000 a year coming straight out of university. So it's pretty good.
So what we've been really diligent on telling Alli probably our whole life is there's many ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of ways to achieve the same result. Some are longer, some are harder, some are pretty walks, some are scrubbing through the mud. But there is many, many ways to reach the same result, and you don't have to go down the traditional path, and you don't have to go down the path that school pushes, school, uni, HECS, job, career, 9 to 5 grind, get into it. Like we've been a bit trying to say, well, do a gap year, start a business. If it fails, go to uni. We've been trying to give her a few more options, but So I'm glad
Yeah.
she's kind of not completely pigeonholed herself yet.
No, I just kind of want to go to uni. I do really want to get a degree, and I want to. That's the path that I really want to go into, and I genuinely have an interest for it. And
She just really wants to get out of the bus.
yeah, yeah,
Her and her father, like in a small space, it's been a bit full on at times.
Yeah.
But I guess that'd be teenagers probably in every housing situation. Might not just be because we live in a bus. Might be amplified because we live in 40 feet.
Well, I'm not the one who had a psychotic breakdown and a panic attack and yell at him at 3 o'clock this morning.
He kept stealing the doona. But sidetrack. That's not an education post.
No.
So tell us some positive things about choosing distance education.
I suppose the first positive thing is there's no bullying. That's something that's really important to me. I was bullied my entire life at schooling, and the school did nothing about it. So I think that's a big thing in Australian schools, that there's a failure to fix bullying, which is something that definitely needs to be fixed. But there's no bullying. I mean, it's a bit lonely without my friends, but it's definitely pushed me to networking with other people. I'm just not locked down. Schools are friends. I only network between school friends. I can go to boxing, and I network with lots of different people in different age groups.
But even like we're in Cunnamulla Hot Springs pools the other day. I misplaced my child, which happens a bit. And I turned around, she's in a hot tub with like a guy in his 60s.
Yeah.
Discussing career paths through Rio Tinto.
Yeah.
And business relations and international law. And I'm like, there's not many 17-year-old girls that would hold down a conversation with a man of that education level or in that situation about those subjects.
Yeah.
So I think we might be doing all right. But she's exposed to a whole different range of people and conversations and ideologies because of the lifestyle that we live.
Yeah.
Rather than just being surrounded by boys, girls, party, drugs, drink.
I think it's definitely something that I'm doing my trial HSE, and I'm sitting there and I'm studying while I'm waiting for my trial HSE to start. And all of that they're talking about, and there's nothing wrong with like enjoying your youth, but all that they're talking about is like, oh, sex, drugs, we're going to go out and party tonight. And I'm like, I know it might not be the path for you, but it's just kind of a bit like, you're not valuing your education. Like, we have free education in Australia, but there's no value, or that's a right that a lot of people don't have, especially as women. And it's just kind of like, doesn't matter.
And it's very one-dimensional. Like, there's no substance, Alli finds, to a lot of the conversation in people her own age. It's just very one-dimensional. There's only just one thing, and it's there's no depth.
No.
And I guess because they haven't been exposed as much to things out in the world. Don't play with that, it makes noises. Alli's fiddling with Tom's vacant mic at the moment, and all I can hear through the earpiece is crackle, 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 which I guess you're all just got to listen to on the podcast. Some of the downsides.
Some of the downsides, I definitely think it's a little bit lack of stability and lack of like environment, and like, I suppose almost disconnect from like, this is where I sleep, this is where I study. Like,
for you it all happens in like a spot.
Yeah, I suppose that could be changed, but I suppose it's like going to work. You have your home space, you get up, you get dressed, you go to work, right? There's a routine. I don't really do that. It's just kind of like I migrate from my bed to the desk.
And sometimes you don't even do that. You just migrate from your bed to my bed.
But it's definitely like a downside, I think, that like there's a lack of routine that I could be forced routine, I really want to say. Like, I have to build up my own routine, and I think I struggle a bit with that. Like, I need routine, but I struggle building the routine.
Alli is a chaos monster. Alli loves to be surrounded by chaos, but Alli struggles in chaos. And she finds it hard to maintain a routine, and then us as parents kind of try to force the routine on her, which gets teenage angst back. And she knows that we're only trying to do for her own, but in the heat of the battle it does get a bit it gets a bit hot, because we know she needs structure, but Alli by nature is chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like you're just like structure and Dad's just like chaos. I'm a seaweed.
Alli, Tom, he's not even chaos. He's just like floats. He's just so unperturbed and unstressed and unchaotic, and he just cruises, floats with the breeze. We call him seaweed. He just floats on the tide. Wherever the tide takes him, he goes. He's got no stress, no pressure. Alli's chaos. Alli like has mess and clutter and
Yeah,
and
I know where everything is in the clutter though.
and there's noise and like nothing happens in a set spot or a set time. And I am the opposite. I hate clutter. Everything has to have a place and everything has to go in its place. Things happen in certain locations and at certain times. And I'm very regimented and routine and organized, and I have planners and checklists and to-do lists, and so we're very three different operating systems.
I think that's probably also another of the downsides. I'm doing education in the same space as my parents, and I'm on call with my food tech teacher the other day and my business studies teacher. This was 2 different times. And I say like, yeah, because I'm taking mental notes. Like that's
so
my
Alli's
default
teacher's obviously talking to her through the phone, and all we can hear in the back is yep. So then, of course, us being us, we have to start mocking her. So she goes, yep, and we go, yep, and there's like a little chorus of yeps go through the bus. And then we take it further and we go, Alli smells like dog poo, and she goes, yep, on the phone to a teacher, and then we chaotically laugh. So, I mean, we're probably not the best parenting, but, I mean, it fills in our day.
Yeah. And Dad generally just annoys me. Like, I'll be working and he'll just, like, close my laptop on me. It's like, go away.
Yeah. He does it out of love. Right, before we finish off for the week, because we managed to chat for, like, a huge amount of time already, we do so well. Where's Thomas? Like, we just don't seem to chat this well when Tom's here.
I mean, we were having, like, a full debate about socialism the other day, so in the car.
Where you and Dad just argue, but we can manage to have a debate.
Yeah.
Anyway, requirements. What do we need to do? We need a good laptop.
A good laptop, good internet. You need at least 5G. So Canvas. So
it's the program.
Yeah. So you can find the Canvas requirements online for what you need for the laptop. Definitely, it's pretty standard. But I definitely recommend getting something just a little bit above that because it can take a really long time to load. And with my current laptop, it's just above the requirements, and sometimes I won't be able to upload at all. So,
and then when she uses my photo editing laptop, which is, even though it's older, is like built, she prefers that. And then the desktop computer that I use for photo and video works probably the best out of the lot.
Yeah.
But we also good internet. So we started off with Telstra Nighthawk.
Which didn't work.
Which we really struggled, even on the east coast of Australia, to get enough internet for Alli to do her school. So now we've gone to Starlink, and that's much, much better 99% of the time.
Yeah. Other requirements, I definitely recommend getting a big notebook. And
like a diary or schedule.
And I have a big one of those. What are they, like the accordion folders?
Yeah, accordion folders.
I definitely recommend getting that because you'll get a lot of envelopes from the school to send stuff back, achievements, lots of different papers and stuff. So just getting something like that.
Yeah. So good laptop, good internet, and good storage, and your own study area. Like defining your study space.
Yeah.
I think is important, and getting that schedule organised, and a bit of self-discipline about, today is study.
Yeah.
The beach looks pretty out the window, but today is study.
Yeah. Also, a reward system's good. Just say, like, I'm going to finish all of these modules, then I'll go to the beach. I find something that really works for me.
Yeah.
And definitely getting a calendar, or just even putting it in your phone calendar, just saying this day's all of the days that I'm going to have my schoolwork. So if you get a job, you can say, sorry, I'm blanked out on Monday. So.
Right. And we're nearly at our 30-minute maximum marker already. So thanks for tuning in for All About Distance Education. We might do one more after she's finished HSC, got her results, got uni early entries and stuff done. We might do one wrap up on final educational thoughts. Thanks for joining in. See you all again next week. I think we're going to do sort of a budgety, money, general summary kind of one.
We're going to do the best of.
And then to finish the season, we're going to do the best of bus life.
Yeah.
So join in next couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in again this week. See you later.